So very good afternoon to everyone. Just to clarify, I'm here to brief you on two matters. One is the items that were taken up in the cabinet today and that were passed. And second, to brief you on my meeting that I had with the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam on Saturday evening. Beyond that, I will not be touching any other subjects. The rest of the subjects or questions related to any other issue, I will take up on Friday with you as usual. So I request that no questions apart from these two subjects be taken up. If you have clarifications regarding the subjects that was there in the cabinet, I'll be happy to reply. But limited questions, please, as I have another meeting after this. And also, I'll take some questions if you have on the meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam. Friends, today we had our cabinet meeting, and in the meeting, multiple issues were taken up. First, we have today amended the Meghalaya Forest Regulation 1973 Act. This Meghalaya Forest Regulation 1973 Act has not been amended since it was formulated and passed as an act. So it's been 50 years, 49 years now that this act has been there. Now, the reason why this act has to be, of course, amended is because of the fact that many things and many issues have changed. The different powers, the different fees or penalties that are charged have to be looked into. So therefore, a large number of amendments were done. I will just mention one or two. So in the proposed bill, it was proposed to confer the aforesaid powers on forest officers of the state. The bill aims to provide punishment in tune with current times to act as effective deterrent against forest offences. As I said, it's been 50 years or 49 years this law has not been amended. For effective utilization of powers to investigate and prosecute by a law enforcing agency, powers to arrest the offenders ought to be candidly defined, keeping in mind the proclivities of the present day offenders, since the regulation in the present form confers powers to arrest under very limited circumstances, often allowing the accused to flee the clutches of law. In compliance of the apex court's directions to provide effective security to strictly enforce forest protection, the amendment bill provides for statutory obligations for providing such security and assistance by police force. In view of the provisions of the enhanced powers of forest officers in the amended bill, there is likelihood of initiation of malicious prosecution against such officers, necessitating requirement of sanction for prosecution which has been duly incorporated in the bill. So like that, there are different aspects. Many amendments are there, but point being that this particular act has been amended today. Also, the Pine Mount School and the public schools that are in Meghalaya. These have been historically maintained or were under the jurisdiction of the Directorate of Higher Technical Education. As you're aware, these are all schools up to class 12. And in Meghalaya, all the schools up to class 12 are under the Directorate of School Education and Literacy. So therefore, a decision was taken in the cabinet that the Pine Mount School and the public schools should also come under the jurisdiction of the diesel instead of the DHTE. So that decision also has been taken today. There's also a proposal regarding the MCCL. As you're aware, the MCCL has been facing huge financial burden. In the last 6 months to 8 months, at the Chief Minister's level, I have been engaging with a large number of stakeholders of the MCCL, including the employees, the management, the landowners, the owners of the mines, so on and so forth, including the local representatives also. At my level, officially I must have met them 3 times, but unofficially I have met them more than 6 to 7 times. The discussion on MCCL has been as follows. Because of the huge financial requirement and the burden that MCCL is in right now, and the fact that most of the production is not taking place, there was a need to take a decision to how to repair things and move forward. We discussed about the option of the state government investing, which is coming to the tune of 190 crores. The second option which we had in hand was to see if we can find a joint venture partner to come in and invest in MCCL. And the third option was to close down MCCL. So the proposal was brought in front of the cabinet today by the Industries Department to see ways and means in which MCCL can be retrieved. Therefore, keeping in mind the financial constraints that are there on the state and the inability of the state to invest 190 crores at this point in time, it was suggested that a joint venture route be taken. So with that proposal, the cabinet today has cleared the proposal to initiate the process of having a joint venture for MCCL. Today, the cabinet also has cleared the Meghalaya Public-Private Partnership Policy 2021. As you're aware, or you may not be aware, that in the whole country, there are only 3 states that don't have a PPP policy, and Meghalaya happens to be one of them. So therefore, this particular public-private partnership policy was absolutely necessary to facilitate more private investment in the state. A detailed note has been prepared on the salient features of this public-private partnership policy 2021, which will be shared to all of you, so you can get details from there. But I would just like to add to this that in this policy, there is one unique aspect to it, which is the aspect of community public-private policy, partnership policy aspect in it. Whereas in most of the other states, you will see that the public-private partnership policy mostly deals with large infrastructural projects. But we have introduced a new concept of the community public-private partnership policy. It's not entirely new. It's there in some parts of the world and maybe in some of the states in the country also. But we'll be one of the few states to have this community PPP 2020 policy aspect in this. The idea is very simple, that even at a community level, if the communities feel that they want to work with private parties to have investment, be it in tourism field, agriculture, horticulture, veterinary, then they can go for those projects. There is also obviously the aspect of the Land Transfer Act being applicable when it comes to the public-private partnership policy. And therefore, those aspects also, the ownership and other aspects of land and the protection to the local people, all have been taken into consideration. So we will give you a small note on the PPP policy that has come out today. The cabinet has also decided that that a fresh lease agreement for 30 years, which is renewable in nature, will be signed with Maxim Infrastructure and Real Estate Private Limited for the development of the 5-star hotel at the Shillong Municipal Board land at Jail Road. The concern was that there was a case where the earlier party had defaulted on the loans that were there. In that situation, the NCLT had taken over this project. The NCLT bidded out the project, and through a fair bidding process, the company named by the name Maxim Infrastructure and Real Estate received or got the project in their name. Therefore, this requires a new lease to be signed, and the government will go ahead and sign the lease. There are certain concerns that were raised regarding some of the terms and conditions that were there, which was discussed in detail. There are many of them, so I will not be able to go to all. But mainly it's to do with the fact that certain areas were not given to them as per the agreement that was initially made. They were supposed to receive 71,000 square feet, if I'm not wrong, square feet, whereas the actual lease was only 61,000 square feet. So it was 10,000 square feet lesser than what was put in the agreement. So they wanted adjustments for those in the new lease. They had also requested that the old amounts that were pending, which were not paid by the past leasee and the past company that had taken this project, they had requested the government to remove those amounts, and so that they don't have to pay, because the amount was not their due but dues of the past. But the government has not agreed to it, and the government has said that even though it's past dues by a different company, these are still dues that are there to government of Meghalaya. So therefore those amounts have to be paid. But we have agreed to give them some relaxation in terms of the interest amount and some relaxation in terms of the period in which they have to pay. So that small relaxation has been given, but we cannot remove the entire amount that is there. And some other adjustments also. They have agreed to also have some adjustments in terms of the floor area, and in return for that, for all these works that we're going to do, they will also be, the company concerned will also be constructing an office site for the Shillong Municipal Board with a size of 20,000 square feet in the plot number 24 opposite the BSNL quarters in European Ward as allocated by the GAD. So these are micro details. One can always get it later on. But the point is that the government has decided to renew this lease, as we are interested to see that this project is completed. It's been pending for too long, and a lot of investment has been made, and it's just been lying idle like a white elephant. So therefore, it's in the interest of the people, interest of the industry, the tourism sector, that this project, and the state, of course, that this project is completed at the earliest. The last decision that was taken by the Cabinet today was to approve the Meghalaya Youth Policy 2021. As you're aware, Meghalaya does not have a youth policy. 15 to 29 is the age group which we define as youth. 31% of our population falls in this category. It is absolutely necessary that the government comes out with a clear policy on how we plan to channelize the energy of these youths so that they can work constructively for themselves, for their family, and for the state and the country as a whole. It's a very, very detailed policy. It'll be impossible for me to speak about it completely, but we have prepared a small press release for that, and that also will be shared to all of you. So you can always go through that and take the points from there. But just to give you an idea, we have tried to cover different aspects of what is important for the youth and what is important for the state. What is the objective of the state, where the state would like to see the youth and where the youth would like to see themselves. So with these two objectives, we have tried to bring in aspects that will try to address the issues for the government as well as for the youth, whether it has to do with unemployment, employment opportunities, whether it has to do with leadership, whether it has to do with skill development, environmental issues, whether it's to do with sports, education, whether it has to do with health and wellness. All these factors have been connected, and put into this policy. And at the same time, we have a 50-point agenda, which also has been created, where different activities will take place. And in this 15-point agenda, the different activities will also be monitored on a monthly, quarterly, or a biannual basis. So that's the gist of the policy. But as I said, we'll give you a small note on this. We have been working on this policy for a very long time. Initially, the note that was given by IIM was the base where we started. But after that, we have spent almost close to 10 months to add many more aspects to it. And we have studied the youth policies from not just the country, but the world, to bring in many new aspects and exciting programs that we have for the youth. As I said, for example, the One Talent, One Skill program, whether it is the program of different excursion programs, whether it's the program to have different clubs for the youth, whether it is to have different youth centers and counseling centers for the youth. So all these programs have been incorporated in this youth policy.